And right now we're talking to Nneka. Nneka, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got started as a performer?
I've been into music for about 6-7 years now. How I started professionally was when I went to Germany from Nigeria, and I lived in Germany for about 5-6 years. And the first 2 years, how do I put it? I never really wanted to go into music, or it was never my focus to go into music. So I just found myself doing it as a hobby in the first place, and then kind of a therapy while I was staying in Germany. And eventually I found a record company. I found a record company that was interested in the stuff that I was doing, that I did not really consider as applicable to the masses.
And what were you doing in Germany? What brought you to Germany?
It was never my intention to go to Germany. I just, due to personal issues that I'm not able to mention, I had to step out of Nigeria for a while, and the only place I could go to was Germany.
You were at university at Germany, weren't you?
Yeah, I studied archaeology and anthropology, and like I mentioned earlier on, my record company, Sony, now Sony, is based in Germany.
Was there any was there any real culture shock going, like when you moved there?
Definitely. I had never been to Germany or outside Africa before that time. So basically, it was my first encounter with, the German side of me. The mentality is different, culture is different, the way people eat, weather is different, the music is different. So all that, was definitely difficult to handle, difficult to deal with. I couldn't speak the language either, so that made it even worse. But then eventually, if you're focused, I believe, you're able to achieve whatever you want. So I decided to, first of all, settle my head. Okay, this is where you are at present. You're by yourself, but you can make this work if you want it to be. So I learned the language. I tried to learn the language. I enrolled for school. I started studying. I had a couple of jobs I was doing, and then eventually I met people who were into music, who kind of also helped me find myself and find my identity within music. And everything just started developing, growing, until I became, I think, stronger to go back to Africa after 3 years of not having anything to do with Nigeria. I decided to take my first trip back home, and now I've moved finally to Nigeria.
I hear something like a Stevie Wonder influence in your music. Which artists are your role models? I mean, that's one artist that comes to mind when I hear your music.
I don't have role models. I like people, but I don't have a role model. Stevie Wonder is amazing. I love Bob Marley. I love Fela Kuti. I love hip hop. I love Mobb Deep. I love African or Nigerian traditional music. King Sunny Ade or Victor Waifo or Fuji music, Yoruba traditional music. many things I like. As long as it fits and as long as I feel connected to it.
I'm wondering, growing up in Nigeria, I'm sure that Fela Kuti is an icon, but did you and your friends listen to a lot of native Nigerian artists, or just a little bit of everything?
Yeah, we did. Like I just mentioned, Urhobo music. Urhobo is a dialect that is spoken in the Niger Delta, in Warri, where I was born and raised. So there are places how do I say? We listen to the music that is played in that region, which is Urhobo or Ishekiri or Ijo. In Lagos, you have more of the Yoruba influence or the Hausas that come from the north, and then you have the Igbo music. So it's very mixed. Nigeria, actually, you hear all sorts of music coming from the different parts of the country. Igbo music as well, and they all have their special sound and rhythm. The Yoruba people, for instance, they are known for playing, for singing. There's a special way that they chant. They're known for chanting, and they use their throat in a way, like, I don't know how to put it.
How they vocalize?
Yeah, how they vocalize. It's just very special, and they use the talking drums. So it's very diverse. I did listen to a lot of that music here.
I do think certainly in the West, people tend to forget that so many of these African nations are homes to different tribes and different cultures and whole different languages.
It's true, because most of the time when I meet people, whether in America or in London or somewhere in the West, they go like, "Do you speak Nigerian?" And I'm like, "Listen, there's nothing like Nigerian. We have dialects, we have tribes. There's not one language called Nigerian. We have a lingua franca that colonial masters imposed on us, which is English. Therefore, everybody speaks English. It's compulsory that you speak English. And then you have the mix of colonial Oxford English and the local language. And that mixed together is what we call Pidgin English, which is actually a language of its own, similar to the Creole language that comes from that is spoken in Sierra Leone. So it's kind of a mix of colonial and African, and it's a language that people on the streets, the lower class, upper class, middle class speak. Yeah.
Do you think that through your music you are, bringing a certain aspect of Africa to Western listeners that they might not otherwise experience?
Yeah, my lyrics are very, they're harsh, they're straightforward. And I talk a lot about what is happening back home. I try to, educate myself and educate my fellow Africans outside Africa about what is happening back home. And at the same time, I try to not prove, but I try to bring a different picture from out of Africa. It's not just poverty, it's not just AIDS, it's not just calamity and suffering that is happening in Nigeria or in Africa. There's so much more than that. And we have good music, we have educated people, we have resources. Without the resources we have,